From the heart of the jungle comes a savage cry of victory. This is Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle. From the black core of dark Africa, land of enchantment, mystery, and violence, comes one of the most colorful figures of all time, transcribed from the immortal pen of Edgar Rice Burroughs. Tarzan, the bronzed white son of the jungle. And now, in the very words of Mr. Burroughs, the story of the drum without a heart.
As everyone knows, most of Africa swelters beneath the tropical sun. And yet, in the very heart of Central Africa, astride the equator, is the Ruwenzori mountain range that is never without snow and ice and raging torrents of glacial rivers. In a small cafe in Nairobi, there was a man whose great ambition it was to climb Ruwenzori. No, with Jean Leclerc, it was more than an ambition. It was a passion.
I tell you, it has been done. It can be done again.
Yeah, by the Amin Pasha Relief Expedition, by the British Museum Expedition, by a few others with fantastic sums of money to spend on men and equipment.
But, Deutsch, it is only 17,000 feet.
Only?
Well, I've climbed peaks almost that high before.
Yeah, and so have I. Higher peaks even. But Alaska and Switzerland and South America are not Africa.
But if other people have done it now...
I told you, Leclerc, those expeditions had every known piece of equipment. And even then, many of them didn't reach any of the peaks. Of course, if you're satisfied with a partial ascent...
No, I'm not. Whether or not you agree to go with me, I intend reaching the summit of those mountains. And neither the elements, nor animals, nor man is going to keep me from achieving my purpose.
Ach, you haven't a chance. Ruwenzori. Ach, you're crazy, Leclerc.
Maybe just crazy enough to accomplish it.
It was strange that in a land of incessant heat, in a country where men used to the jungle had almost forgotten that other climates existed, the snowy peaks of Ruwenzori should have been the subject of another conversation. One that was taking place far from Nairobi, in the tiny native village of the Punya tribe.
But, Tarzan, many mahogany trees grow in Ruwenzori.
Yes, Kuluk, but the land is dangerous. Animals, warlike savages, snow and ice.
What's snow, ice, Tarzan?
Well, Togo, snow and ice are... they're cold.
Cold?
It's a little hard to explain. Snow is like rain, only, different. It's,
He's not clear.
Maybe take Torgo with us when go Ruwenzori?
I can see no need to travel to the mountains of Ruwenzori. The missionary school can be built of bamboo or other woods that grow near here.
We promised missionary best building in land if he come here. We build school of mahogany. Natal mahogany come from Ruwenzori.
Well, if you've made up your mind that we must have Natal mahogany, I'll go with you, Kuluk. But I feel that it's...
Tarzan, take Torgo. Show him snow, ice, mahogany.
No, this is one trip I can't take you on, Torgo. Never before have I been to a land as dangerous as this.
Take Torgo, please. Take Torgo, Ruwenzori.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, but I can't.
Torgo hate Tarzan. Tarzan me. Not like Tarzan anymore.
Torgo safe on trip if Tarzan there.
Well, perhaps if I could secure the skins of animals with heavy coats so that Torgo would not freeze on the trip.
Kuluk, grown man for he see snow. Nice for boy to see.
Yes, I guess you're right, Kuluk.
I tell Torgo.
No. Let's keep it as a surprise. Huh?
Yes, we make surprise.
I'll leave the village now, and I'll do some hunting. When I've secured warm skins and cured them, I shall return here for Torgo and you. We will go to the land of Ruwenzori.
And even as the mountain climbers left Nairobi to start on their expedition, and as Tarzan and Kuluk in the Punya village planned their journey to Ruwenzori, the natives there, perhaps the most fierce of all of Africa's savages, beat their voodoo drum. Violence was in the making.
God of Ruwenzori angry, not smile upon our people.
Is true, mighty chief. Each moon are less of great trees.
And when are no more trees, people of Ruwenzori not able trade for food, for hides, for other things they need.
We beat voodoo drums to God of Ruwenzori, but he not here.
Why?
'Cause drum not have heart.
It against law of white man now to give heart to drum.
We listen law, white man. or voice God of Ruwenzori?
We cannot anger God too much.
Then we give heart to drum. I, great witch doctor of Ruwenzori, look into smoke from ceremonial fire.
What you see?
See strangers come our land. See heart for drum.
In just a moment, we shall continue with our story, The Drum Without a Heart. In the next few days, many animals contributed their lives so that warm clothing would be available for the trip to Ruwenzori. And then Tarzan went home to cure the skins and fashion the garments. He was far from the Punya village when the white men who intended to climb Ruwenzori's peaks neared the boma of the Punya kraal.
Well, perhaps here we can obtain some bearers.
We won't have any more luck here than we did in Nairobi or any of the other native villages along the way. You just can't get these natives to go to Ruwenzori.
Then we'll go alone. We've done all right so far.
So far. But 2 men to attempt Ruwenzori. I still think you're crazy, Leclerc.
And then why did you come along?
I don't know. Unless it's because I'm crazy, too.
Hey, attendez un moment. Yeah, a native.
Jambo, white man.
How do you do?
Bonjour. That is your village ahead?
Nadio, his village, Punya people. You need supplies, water?
No. We already have as many supplies as we can carry, and we filled our water bags only a few miles back. But we would like to hire some bearers and guides.
Not today. Some Punya men on safari now. Some on hunting trip. Others start build missionary school. All busy.
Well, Leclerc, our luck's still holding.
And at least we didn't mention our destination this time, so you can't blame it on any fear of the Ruwenzori.
You go Ruwenzori?
Well, yes. Why?
I go Ruwenzori few days. Wait now for Tarzan.
What's that?
Tarzan, Lord of Jungle. He here few days, then we guide you Ruwenzori. You wait.
Well, that looks like a good idea.
Maybe yes, maybe no. How long do you call a few days?
Not no. Tarzan come here when hides cured, warm clothes made.
Well, you know these jungle people, Dutch. That might mean weeks and months even.
I suppose you're right. Well, thanks anyway. Maybe we'll see you there.
Yes, that's as likely as bumping into someone in the desert.
Good luck, white men. Good luck on Ruwenzori.
Thank you, Santa. For a minute there, I thought maybe we'd stumbled on some help. What was that?
I don't know.
Coming from those bushes.
Watch out, Dutch. It might be a snake.
A snake, eh?
A little native boy. A cute one, too.
Did you go through, Zoe?
Well, somebody's been eavesdropping.
Please, Torgo wants the ice snow. Take Torgo with you to Ruwenzori.
Well, you know, it might not be a bad idea at that.
But to take a small boy on a trip like that?
Well, he probably knows something of the country between here and there. Do you?
Yes, Torgo no way.
See? And now having a native boy with us will prove to any savages we meet that we are friendly to the blacks.
Yeah, it might.
Torgo brave, too. To take you from big animals.
All right, Monsieur Torgo. We'll take you with us to Ruwenzori. Maybe you will bring us good luck.
Yeah, I have an idea we're going to need it.
What do you mean Torgo's gone? Gone where?
Not no. 1 minute here, next minute not here.
When was the last time you saw him?
Not remember exactly. Thought maybe it was with you. Mama Nagamo worry, so tell her Torgo go with Tarzan.
Fine. So then no one's looked for him, huh?
He be all right. He know jungle.
Yes, he knows the jungle, but he's just a small boy. Now try to remember the last time you saw him.
Think maybe was day white men here 4 or 5 days ago.
White men in Punya village?
Look for porters, guides. Kuluk tell them all Punya men busy. They go away.
You suppose they could have taken Torgo?
Oh, no white men not take small boy on trip Ruwenzori.
The Tarmanganis were going to the Ruwenzori mountains?
Nadio.
Lead me to where you encountered these white men. It will not be easy to follow a spoor many days old, but we must try. I have a strange feeling that their spoor will be combined with that of Torgo.
We follow them Ruwenzori?
Yes, we will follow them even that far if we find that Torgo's trail also leads in that direction.
We go Ruwenzori. We get mahogany for missionary school.
If we can arrange to get the mahogany, fine. But the life of that boy is far more important to me.
Under most circumstances, Tarzan and Kuluk might easily have overtaken white men. But this time, it was most difficult. True, Torgo's trail proved that he was with the Tarmanganis, but often the spoor was faint, and many hours were lost trying to determine the exact direction the strangers had taken. With 4 or 5 days' lead, the well-experienced travelers remained far ahead. Now the Ruwenzori Mountains loomed in the distance, its many snow-clad peaks seeming to defy man to conquer them. And as Tarzan and Kuluk pressed wearily onward, a light snow began to spiral downward.
Snow.
Snow Zuri.
There's nothing pretty about it when you stop to think of what it means.
Means?
It will destroy every sign that they've left, every spore. And even should we draw close to them, it will blot out their scent.
Only thing to do, keep head for Ruwenzori.
Are we to comb the entire 45 miles of its length? Are we to scale every peak? It will take us a year.
What we do?
Well, we're not sure what the white men seek or why they saw fit to take Torgo along, but they could belong to that strange group that climbs mountains for the mere sake of climbing them.
White men do that?
Yes. And if they belong to that strange cult, they would attempt the highest peak, Mount Stanley.
Stanley?
Yes, that's the Tarmangani's name for our finger in the sky.
So?
Even our warm clothing will be little protection there. We have no ropes or metal-tipped staffs to help us in our climb. But we must attempt it, Kuluk.
Nadio, Tarzan. Must save Torgo. Storm get worse. Much bad.
Maybe you'd better turn back, Kuluk. It isn't fair for me to ask you to risk your life for Torgo.
He punya, boy.
To me, he's been like a son, but to you...
We go on. Not waste time. Words.
Shots.
Not far off.
That's fantastic, but somehow we've stumbled onto their path. Come on, Kuluk, run.
On the ledge, Deutsch! On the ledge! I can't make them out in the snow.
They're being attacked by something.
They above us. Up rocks.
Here, let me help you. There. Now, watch your footing. If you slip, you'll fall thousands of feet.
There must be dozens of them. Well, there's no use shooting. I can't see them well enough in this storm.
Sound like panthers.
No, I don't think so.
Look, white men. Big cats above them, ready to spring.
Wildcats. Stand still, Kuluk.
Use bow, arrow through snow.
I can hardly see them, but it's the only thing I can do now. That's one of them.
You get one, all right.
Look there. Someone's shooting at them. Whoever is shooting has an eye like a...
Well, that's the third.
Not see any more wild cats. All dead.
What in the world? Well, it's natives.
We are friendly men. We mean you no harm. We come here only to
It is not important why you are here.
Why, that one's a white man.
What?
Our only concern is for Torgo, the native boy. Where is he?
That was some shooting. 3 serval cats with 3 arrows.
Answer me, will you? What have you done with Torgo?
But we haven't done anything with him. We gave him warm clothing. We fed him well.
I shall ask you only once more. Where is he?
We couldn't help ourselves. There must have been 20 of them. Had we offered any resistance, it would have
Who
been...
were there 20 of?
Savages, with bones through their noses and discs inserted in their lower lips. Hideous creatures.
The fiercest ones I've ever encountered, and still they did nothing to Deutsch and me.
What did they do to Torgo?
Well, they did nothing to him in our presence. They just mumbled something about a drum without a heart. And then they made off with the boy.
In just a moment, the exciting conclusion to our story of the drum without a heart. Now, as Tarzan and Kuluk stood facing Leclerc and Deutsch, the fury of the storm increased, and the snow whipped across their faces with glacial fury. At first, the mountain climbers had been afraid of the jungle man, but now their fear of the storm was greater, and they defied Tarzan.
We are not going through this storm just to try to find some native village.
But without you, we could not recognize the savages you claim made off with Torgo. Do you know what they meant by a drum without a heart?
No, I didn't, but I've been wondering.
Some tribes use a drum with which to pray to their god. In making the drum, they hollow out a tree. When it's nearly finished, they send a small boy into the drum to finish scooping out the wood at the very end with his hands.
Yes?
Before he can finish and come out, they clamp the head on the drum, a strong hide that a boy cannot break through.
Is true. Is custom many tribes.
It's unbelievable.
The boy remains in the drum until he is dead, and he remains there afterwards. This is the heart of the drum, the element that makes it sound pleasing to their god. Or so they think.
Leclerc, we'll have to join them in trying to save Togo.
I am not turning back. I came to climb to the very top of Ruwenzori, and that's what I'm going to do.
You will never live to reach the top unless you come with me. You may come of your own accord, or with my knife at your back.
Many miles away from the four strangers to the mighty Ruwenzoris, the savages who had long made the mountain country their home met in solemn shawry. At last they had secured a heart for their drum.
Men have drum ready. Witch doctor?
Almost is time for boy to finish.
Togo not want go inside
You
drum.
go in when time come.
Togo cold, not like snow ice.
Be still. Must not say not like snow, ice.
But Togo not like.
You anger God Ruwenzori. He make great trees to die.
Togo not care. Hope trees die.
Not say that. Not say.
Now must make boy pure before becomes hard.
You be sorry, small boy. Now must have ceremony. Else you not make good heart for drum.
Togo not know what you mean heart for drum. But he not like.
Witch doctor, get things we need for ceremony. Then boy change what he say about snow, ice, great trees, Ruwenzori.
Yes. When boy through ceremony, he not defy God. He be meek, quiet, obedient.
Well, at least the storm has stopped.
And what good's it going to do us now? The snow's already blotted out every footprint.
When they left us, they headed in this direction, all right, but that's as much as we know.
You say there were about 20 of them, and yet they made no sound? Seems likely to me that they must have taken this path. Had they been forced to break through the underbrush, you would have heard them.
That makes sense.
I would go on in this direction for a while. But Claire, what makes a man want to climb mountains?
Oh, I don't know. A desire to overcome great obstacles, a natural urge for man to climb upwards, an inherent wish.
That's like the question, why does a chicken cross the road?
Look, Tarzan, river.
So the path ends in a raging river. Well, I guess we can't go
The
any
path continues on the other side. You can see that the snow is just a little darker in one spot there.
Even if the path continues over there, we have no boat to cross the river.
We'll have to swim.
In that current? Through the ice floe? It would be suicide.
Perhaps if I swam across, I could fasten your long climbing rope on one of those high trees over there. If you secured the other end to a higher point over here, the rest of you might be able to slide across on that rope.
Yeah, that's a possibility. But you'd arrive there wet and freezing. Then you'd have to climb a tree and fasten the rope. We could bring you some reasonably dry clothes when we slid across, but by that time
You die of cold, Tarzan.
Better to die of cold than of cowardice. Give me one end of the rope.
Tarzan took the rope in his mouth and plunged into the seething river. His mighty arms flailed the water. His strong legs drove him forward, but the mighty raging current of the river pulled him back. Large, jagged pieces of ice beat against him. Pieces of floating timber battered his body. At times, the men on the shore held their breath as Tarzan was dragged down momentarily, but his mighty courage made him fight on, and at last he reached the opposite shore. Half frozen, he climbed a great tree and fastened the rope. Then he fell to the ground, exhausted, beaten, bleeding.
Here, pile the rest of the hides on him now.
Maybe we build fire?
Even if we could find any dry wood, we wouldn't dare chance it. Those savages might be even closer than we think. How are his wounds?
And they've stopped bleeding. It's the cold that...
To reach other side. Have to.
You reached the other side, Tarzan. The rest of us have slid across now.
Save Togo. Have to save Togo.
You're in no condition to go on. You'll have to rest.
Rest after Togo's safe.
No. Don't try to get up.
Yes. Let me go, Leclerc.
Maybe it is better if he gets up. He stays there on the ground, he'll freeze to death.
I hear their ceremonial drums now.
There are no drums. Guess maybe you're a little delirious.
Oh, I hear the drums. If there were drums, the rest of us would hear them.
Tarzan hear sound of ant walking hundreds feet away. He say he hear drum. He hear.
Follow me. Be careful you do not step on a twig or stumble on a rock. A slight sound could silence us all forever.
Yes, I can hear the drums now.
Yes, their camp is right below us, see?
Begin snow again.
Can you recognize any of the natives about their council fire, Leclerc?
No, not through this fog, I can't.
It's not fog, it's clouds. We're right up in them.
Yes, they are dressed the same as those who took the boy. They wear the same ornaments. Those discs in their lower lips, those bones through their noses.
And look, in the center of the council ring.
A huge log.
The new drum they're making. The one that requires a heart.
It doesn't seem to have any hide across it. Maybe the boy is still alive.
I can't see him.
Many of their ceremonies last all night and reach their high point at dawn. Perhaps they're saving Torgo until the end.
There are a great number of them. I don't know what we can do.
All right, for I'm still weak. Had I my strength, I could risk an attack even against their large number. But now I...
Deutsch and I have rifles. They're both automatic loaders, so we could pick off quite a few if these clouds lifted. And you have your bow and arrow.
No. We couldn't risk that. Our aim might not be good in this snow-covered land. And the first thing they might do would be to kill Torgo. Besides, I doubt if the clouds will lift before dawn.
Well, if we don't use our guns, what then?
We shall have to use our heads.
Clouds get thicker.
Good. It will cover our actions.
What actions?
Just beyond the protection of these trees, we're going to build snowmen.
Are you crazy?
Perhaps he is still delirious.
I know it sounds mad. Perhaps it is. But it's the only thing I can think of. We must build as many snowmen as we can between now and dawn. We must find dye roots to color them so that they resemble people. And we must find wood and fashion many rifles. If the clouds lift enough so that the natives can see the figures, they will think we have a large army.
And if the clouds lift too suddenly, they'll recognize the snowmen for what they are.
In that case, you three will have to run for your lives.
We three? Well, how about you?
I shall be in the camp of the Ruwenzori people.
Is dawn. Time to give heart to drum.
Small boy, ready. Not fight now.
What you want Torgo do?
Just climb into log here. You small. You get in. Scoop out loose wood end of log. So log is hollow. Make fine drum.
Nadio, Torgo do his chief command.
Wait, Torgo! Do not enter that log.
Tarzan!
Oh, stop song. Let drum be still.
Who are you? Where you come from?
I am Tarzan, a white man, and I am the leader of a mighty army. I have come to take Torgo from you.
Oh, my boy. Not take boy from us.
I have come alone and unarmed to show that I am not angry. But should you harm that boy or me, my soldiers will destroy your village.
Where, soldiers?
In the hill, directly above your village. They have many thundersticks, and they can destroy you quickly.
Here's two. Through clouds see many men, all with thundersticks.
But we let boy go. God Ruwenzori angry. Even now, less trees each year.
You must pass a law among your people. Each time they fell a tree, they must plant 2 seeds so that new trees will grow. This will please your God. He will make your forests grow rich.
You speak wisely.
And we not want war with white man thundersticks. Go. Take boy.
Santa, men of Ruwenzori, you have acted wisely.
Put head on drum. Beat loud so all people come. We tell new rule. 2 seeds for each tree cut is new law, Ruwenzori.
Well, men, our paths part here.
We go Punya village.
Without mahogany for missionary school.
We brought a pupil back. I think that's more important. The missionary will understand.
You didn't get your mahogany, and we didn't accomplish our mission. We returned to Nairobi without having climbed to Ruwenzori's peak.
No, we won't be able to brag about conquering the greatest of Africa's mountains, but we will have a story.
A story, Leclerc?
The story of a drum without a heart, and of a jungle savage with a great one.
We'll be back to tell you about our next story of Tarzan in just a moment. Only when Kuda, the sun, has completed its ride across the heavens, and only on those nights when Goro the moon does not shine brightly, do the strange creatures that inhabit the caves of Gonika emerge from the sable darkness of their dwellings. Then their pale eyes gleam from the blackness, and all who enter their Congo stronghold learn of terror at night.
Tarzan, a transcribed creation of the famous Edgar Rice Burroughs, is produced by Walter White, Jr., prepared for radio by Bud Lesser, with original music by Albert Glasser. This is a Commodore production. From the heart of the jungle comes a savage cry of victory. This is Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle. From the black core of dark Africa, land of enchantment, mystery, and violence, comes one of the most colorful figures of all time, transcribed from the immortal pen of Edgar Rice Burroughs. Tarzan, the bronzed white son of the jungle. And now, in the very words of Mr. Burroughs, the story of terror at night.
Several years had now passed since Tarzan's return to his beloved jungle. The mask of civilization had begun to slip from him, and once again he had become like the other denizens of the forest, suspicious of every strange scent, wary of the approach of aliens. An hour ago, he had sensed the coming of white men and had left his seacoast cabin and taken to the trees. Now he glared down as two rough-looking, jungle-weary intruders passed directly below him. They had many weeks' growth of beard on their faces, and the clothes they wore, which might have once been Navy uniforms, were now tattered rags.
I tell you, matey, I've got a feeling someone's watching us.
Relax, Pete, relax. They haven't followed us this far.
Oh, perhaps they haven't, perhaps they haven't. It's getting me down, it is.
I'm telling you to relax.
A fine fix we'd have been in if I'd relaxed back there. By this time, we'd be where the rest of them are now.
Let's not talk about what happened to the others, Pete.
I don't fancy talking about what happened to them any more than you do, Harry, but stop telling me to relax. I won't relax until we're out of this bloody jungle. Perhaps not even then.
Okay, so don't relax.
Well, I'll be blowed.
Hey, a cabin. A wooden cabin.
Right in the middle of the blooming wilderness. And smoke coming out of the ruddy chimney.
Hey, Pete, maybe we get some chow there, huh?
Yes. Or maybe run into the bobbies.
Oh, the police ain't after us.
They might be by this time, matey.
Well, I'm taking a chance. I'm tired of eating berries and wild bananas and rotten coconuts. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And when there's fire, there may be some food cooking.
Well, I'm downright starving myself, matey, but I ain't risking a pair of bracelets on me wrists for a meal in me belly.
Well, I am. There ain't no telephones or wireless around here, and no one knows about us. You can do as you like, but I'm bumming a meal. I'm not spending another day eating bird food.
Hey, wait for me, matey. Don't go off and leave your old pal.
Well, hurry up, then. I'm not waiting all day.
Now, if we got separated, well, we could never find each other again. I'd be all alone. And they might still be after us.
Oh, Pete Scruggins, you're giving me a pain. For 2 cents, I gotta let you...
Don't get in a flap. If you say so, we'll knock on the door. Come along. Let's be real polite, like. There's no sense in having a squabble here and making a bad impression.
Okay, Limey. Then, here goes.
No one home?
Just our luck.
Perhaps it is luck. Perhaps if someone was home, they...
Well, it's not going to stop me. I want some honest grub and I'm busting in.
I wouldn't do that.
Hey, who are you?
You have nothing to fear from me. I do not intend to hurt you, but leave my cabin alone.
We didn't mean no harm, Governor. And you see, it's this way. We've been beating our way through this ruddy jungle for days now.
I can see you've been traveling in the jungle, but that doesn't give you the right to break into my house.
Oh, we weren't really planning on doing that, Governor.
What are you apologizing for, Limey? Sure we were going to break in. We're lost, we're exhausted, and we're hungry. Would it have hurt anything if we slipped in and borrowed a little grub?
Hey, Harry, you
I know what I'm doing. I know how you have to talk to these savages.
Savages have one law. Those who are hungry must hunt for their own food. If you came into the jungle without weapons with which to kill game, you deserve to starve.
Well, now, look, Governor, look. Me mate here has a quick tongue, but he don't mean no harm. We're right hungry, we are, and we'd be mighty thankful for a spot of food. Now, you wouldn't really let your fellow man starve, would you? Would you now, Governor?
No, I suppose not. All right, I'll give you food. But once you've eaten, you'll have to leave. I refuse to harbor criminals.
What?
He knows.
Well, come on in.
Thanks. But let's get one thing straight, Big Shot. We ain't no criminals. And we ain't beggars, either. When we reach Mombasa, we'll have enough dough to buy a palace and fill every room with rib roast and apple pie.
That's right. And when we get to Mombasa, we'll send you some brass to pay you for the grub. We'll have plenty, we will, all right.
Yes, I'm sure you're men of great wealth. You look it.
Oh, yeah? Well, if you think we're lying to you, take a look at this.
Pearls. 6 magnificent pearls.
You shouldn't have showed him, Harry.
Oh, I guess he shouldn't have. So this is why you flee through the jungle in fear. Who did you steal these from?
It so happens we didn't steal them.
So help me, that's the truth, Governor. They was a present, that's what they was.
All right. We'll all return to where you came from, and we'll see who was kind enough to give you a fortune in pearls.
No. Please don't make us go back to Gonika.
Gonika? No, I doubt that they're even African pearls. Certainly pearls like that never came from the waters near Gonika. Still, we shall make inquiries there.
Now, look, wise guy, my pal Pete made a boner when he let it slip we came here from Gonika. But big as you are, you ain't forcing either of us to go back there. That's one land neither of us is setting foot in again.
Why are you so afraid of that part of the jungle?
But I'll tell you, Governor. I'll tell you all about it. Only don't make us go back there. Take the pearls. Do anything you like, but don't make us go back to that terror. We couldn't stand that again.
In just a moment, we shall return to our story. It was more than probable that the little Cockney had let one item of truth slip out, for the rough-looking strangers had come from the direction of Gonika. But Gonika was a poor native village near the coast, and pearls from the African coast are seldom worth much. Those the American had shown Tarzan were worthy of an Oriental potentate, yet no wealthy potentates were within thousands of miles of the miserable native village or the nearby port of Karisi, to which only the poorest of ships came. Yes, the men, the pearls, and their great fear were all mysterious and intriguing, and Tarzan knew that men talk more freely when their stomachs were full.
Another piece of meat, Harry?
Yeah, thanks, Tarzan. Sure you ain't got anything stronger than this fruit juice?
I'm very sorry.
That's all right. I'll have another glass of it anyway.
Now, don't go making a pig of yourself, Harry. It ain't polite.
Just worry about yourself, pal. You ain't been doing so bad.
Oh, yes, I've eaten quite a bit, but then there's no sense in eating Tarzan out of house and home.
Go right ahead. Eat all you want. We can't carry any of this food with us. We'll have to hunt as we go along, and...
Hey, now listen, get this straight. We're not heading back to Gonika.
You promised to tell me why you feared that part of the jungle.
I didn't promise. Pete did.
All right, Pete. If you've had enough to eat, Pete, suppose you just sit back and tell me the story.
Is it all right to tell him, Harry?
Go ahead.
Well, it was this way, see. Pete and I were hands on the Anna III sailing out of Singapore. And a more miserable, rat-ridden old hulk you've never laid your eyes on.
No decent food aboard either. Tin stuff, mostly cheap canned rations or something.
Oh, that's right. The grub was a fair horror.
I see.
Well, we gets to Karisi. That's near Gonika, no?
Yes, I know.
Right, well, we pulls into port to pick up a load of copra. We'd been out for 6 months, and by this time we were so bloody tired of that tinned food we was fit to scream.
Get to the point, Pete.
Well, if I ain't telling it nice enough to please your highness, you go ahead and tell it yourself.
Okay, I will. To make it short and sweet, Pete here, me, and 6 other guys jumped ship, see? We took along enough of that tin stuff to get us by until we lined up some decent food. We hadn't drawn our pay, so we couldn't buy any. And we hightailed it out of Carisi.
We didn't know where we was headed, but it didn't matter as long as we got away.
You headed for the interior?
Yeah, and we hadn't gone a mile before the skipper of the Anna III called Copper.
Yes, his old crew was gone and he couldn't pick up a new one in Carisi. No, not bloody likely.
He's probably still sitting there. Well, Tarzan, I don't know where they rounded them up, but there must have been a dozen of them watchmen come after us, all with guns. And we didn't even have a cap pistol with us.
We're getting to the story of the pearls very slowly.
Well, this is where we gets to it.
You see, when we reached Guernica, they were right behind us. There wasn't any place to hide in that one-horse town, so we kept going, all 8 of us. Just beyond the town, we reached some low mountains, and we stumbled across a huge cave.
And we hid there. We should never have done it. I wish I'd never seen that cave.
Yeah, it was cold and it was damp. But it looked as though it'd be safe from those watchmen. Well, I guess it was, but they kept looking for us. We could hear them outside night and day for a week.
And that night, it happened. The first time, I mean.
What happened?
Well, it was old Murphy. He was sitting the furthest back, and he had his rations by his side. Long about midnight, he fell asleep.
And when he woke up, his rations was gone.
Yeah, but whoever took them left one of those pearls in its place.
That's the most fantastic fairy tale I ever heard.
It's true. 6 times it happened.
Oh, 6 different nights, Governor, so help me. 6 lots of canned rations stolen, 6 pearls left.
Then what happened?
Well, sir, it just so happens that Harry and me was the only ones without a pearl, and the only ones still had their rations. Well, we'd gathered a few berries and things near the cave's entrance, but that wasn't enough, so Harry and me agreed to split what we had left with the others, providing that we was all partners in everything.
I made them let me hold the pearls before we give them any of that grub.
And rotten as it was, they agreed.
But then they must have got to thinking. Whoever was leaving them pearls was leaving it in payment for that junk. But we'd eaten most of Pete's and only mine was left by this time.
1 more bunch of grub and 1 more pearl.
Yeah, and the others weren't satisfied with 7 pearls for the 8 of us. At least that's the way we figured it out later.
They didn't say nothing to Harry or me, but when we were sleeping that last night, the rest of them must have got up and started back into the cave. As deep it was. And they was after the place where them pearls come from.
Pete and I woke up all right. Just in time to see the last of that scurvy lot being dragged away.
Dragged away?
Oh, they was screaming and carrying on awful, they was. And you could hear that they was being choked.
By the most horrible-looking creatures I've ever seen. Not that I could see much of them in the deep shadows.
They wasn't men, Tarzan. Though they had arms and legs.
Yeah, and thin, sort of spidery hands and fingernails, or it was claws, 7 or 8 inches long.
And it was all white, Tarzan. White all over, I mean, and sort of shiny in the darkness.
More of a gray, I'd say, except for their eyes.
Their eyes was a sort of pale and red-rimmed.
Go ahead, what did you do?
What did we do? We ran, we did, just as fast as we could. And we've run most of the time since then.
We thought we were bad off with a rap facing us for jumping ship. Well, if we'd run from bad grub on a rotten ship, you can imagine what we did with those creatures after us.
The story is very interesting. Now we will head for the caves near Guernica and find out if it's true.
Only a man of Tarzan's strength and determination could have forced Harry and Pete back in the direction of the Cave of Horror. But the 2 men had little alternative, for Tarzan's knife remained a constant threat. Mile after mile of endless jungle was traversed, and the already weary strangers staggered on unwillingly. Suddenly, Tarzan motioned for them to stop and to remain silent. Hardly a dozen feet away, a huge leopard crouched in the shadows. Pete and Harry recoiled in fear, but Tarzan leaped forward, his knife flashing overhead. The leopard roared with pain as the knife found its mark, but with its last breath of life, the leopard clawed out at its killer. Tarzan grasped the great beast in his hands, lifted it from the ground, and then threw it to the earth with enormous violence.
Did you hear that? The blighter's a bloody savage.
Never mind what he is. Did you see how he handled that leopard?
Yes, of course I saw it. I've got eyes in my head, haven't I?
Do you know what it means?
Means?
I don't know what's in that cave, but a guy who can sling a leopard around like that can handle anybody or anything.
You think so, matey?
You said you had eyes in your head. Well?
Oh, with his help, we could find where those pearls come from. We could have every blasted one of them.
A real fortune. 6 pearls. We can have 600. 6,000, maybe.
Quiet, matey, he's coming back.
I cut off enough meat so we'll not go hungry. We may have a long vigil in your cave if we're to wait for men who will bring us pearls.
Yeah, having some food along may not be such a bad idea. Well, let's get going, huh?
Yes, Governor. Let's move along towards the cave. We can't be wasting time, you know. I'd have sworn the cave was right about here, I would.
I told you we took a wrong turn back there by the big rock.
How can you tell all the rocks around here look the same?
Wait a minute.
What's up, Governor?
That yachting cap on the ground, did that belong to any of your party?
Blimey! That's Murphy's cap.
Yeah, and he had it on when they took him.
I recognize the place now. The entrance to the cave's right over there, behind that bush.
Come on, then.
Here, let me pick up the cap. I always had hankering for Murphy's lid. Here now.
Hurry up, Pete. So I get separated.
Yes, wait for me. You see this, Tarzan? Right inside the band. Gold letters, too. Dennis C. Murphy. Now, he bought this hat in a little shop in Singapore, down a little side street it was. I was with him
I
that
tell
day.
you, fool, we're practically at the mouth of the cave.
Yes, there's a cave there, all right. This is the one where they gave pearls away?
This is it, all right.
It's colder inside than it was last time.
Seems like it.
It is a big cave. You can tell from the currents of air.
Over there was where the 8 of us slept.
And where did you see these figures?
Over that way. That's where we saw them pale eyes and the claws. And he wasn't spoofing you. 7 or 8 inches long those claws was, Tarzan. Hey, Tarzan, where you going?
To find out where those charming creatures came from and where they went.
Hey, watch out! Right behind you, Tarzan!
The eyes! The pale eyes!
And the claws, Tarzan! The claws!
In just a moment, the exciting conclusion of Terror at Night.
Yeah. You did it, Governor. You beat them scurvy creatures off.
Hardly that. I never got my hands on one of them. They slipped right out of my grasp.
What do they look like up close, Governor?
I couldn't see anything but their eyes in this blackness, Pete.
Well, they were scared of you, all right. We're safe in the cave now.
We're a breeze from here on in, we are.
That's right. If you outfought them once, you can do it again.
What are you getting at, Harry?
At their supply of pearls, I hope.
So, that's why you finally decided to come back willingly. You look to me to get the pearls for you, huh?
Oh, now, we'll cut you in for plenty, we will, Governor. Nothing cheap about us, there ain't.
Here's what we figured. Now that you know we were telling the truth, we can go into Gonika and dig up some tin boxes. Empty boxes.
But we'll make like they was full, see? We'll each lie down at night with a box by our side. Like they had them tin rations in them.
And then when they come out to grab them...
We have the meat I took along the trail. We'll place that by our sides as we pretend to sleep. All natives of the forest use traps, but the bait must be real. It's our law.
Okay, Governor, whatever you say, so long as you go along with our little plan.
Sure, any way you want to do it, Tarzan. Just as long as we get them pearls.
I wouldn't count on it, Harry. But I'll confess I want to see those strange underground creatures. I'm willing to set a trap, but perhaps we ourselves may prove to be the bait.
Asleep?
Not bloody likely.
Yeah, the night's almost over, and they haven't come.
They won't come if they hear you talking. You must pretend to be asleep.
If I ever close my eyes, I will be asleep.
Oh, me too. I'm dying for a little shut-eye.
Yes, our journey was tiring, but we can't risk sleep.
You can see the sun starting to come up outside. I guess they ain't coming.
Maybe they don't like fresh meat. Maybe all of them canned rations.
You men know little of the jungle. The creatures whose stronghold we've invaded are playing the jungle game of patience. They'll come. You can bet your lives they'll come. In fact, our lives may be the prize in this game.
Day came at last, and then night again. 3 days and 3 nights went by, and still the vigil continued. For Harry and Pete were resolved to get the precious pearls, and Tarzan was determined to solve the mystery of the strange underground inhabitants. Now Pete and Harry lapsed often into fitful snatches of sleep, and even Tarzan's lids were heavy. It was the 4th night. All was as silent as death. Harry and Pete were asleep again, and Tarzan was fighting sleep. But finally his eyes closed, his head nodded, his breathing became heavier. Now pale eyes rimmed with red peered through the sable darkness. Spidery legs scurried across the cave floor. Thin, slippery bodies glided toward the sleeping men, and talon-like claws, hundreds of them, reached for the intruders.
No, take your claws from my throat. Help, Tarzan. Help, Tarzan. Breathe. I can't help you. They're all around me. They're slimy. I can't get my hands on them.
No. They're putting chains on me. Chains!
Me too. It's no use. We can't.
No, you won't. I refuse.
They knocked Tarzan over the head.
He's out like a light. I'll give up. Hey, Annie, if you don't struggle, they don't do anything to you.
I've stopped trying to fight him.
Look, they're carrying Tarzan to the back of the cave.
Yeah, and that big one's motioning us to come.
Well, I suppose we haven't got no choice. I'm not having them claws around me throat again.
Me neither. But I guess this is curtains. For me and for you and for Tarzan.
Where have they brought us?
They carried you and we walked down 1,000 stone steps, I'd say.
Oh, if only they'd leave us alone instead of just standing here glaring at us out of those eyes.
Looks like a room in which hundreds of them must sleep.
Well, on them blooming shelves. Yes, some of them are lying on those stone bunks now.
Maybe they got a fortune in pearls, but they sure ain't enjoying life.
Now, watch out for those big ones near you. They seem to have their eye on you, Harry.
Well, lying here wondering about our fate isn't going to do any good. You! I am Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle. I did not come here to steal your pearls or do you harm. My only wish is to speak to your chief, your leader, your high priest.
No use, Tarzan.
There it is. Look, one of them's motioning to you.
I see you. I shall follow you.
Perhaps he's taking me to their leader.
Wait for us.
Yeah, we're coming with you.
No. I guess you aren't. You better walk back before they're all on top of us again.
But you ain't going to leave us here, Tarzan.
I have no choice. We've found out that we cannot best them in a fight.
But he's leading you to a big stone door. Once you go through there...
Yeah, look, Tarzan, we got to stick together.
If I can make my thoughts known to their leader, should I be permitted to talk with him, I will try to save your lives as well as my own. Even though I have nothing but contempt for you.
Oh, now, look out,
But I can make no promises. For who knows what lies beyond that door.
You may approach me, Tarzan.
You speak. And you know my name.
A few of us are left who know many things, but the accumulation of knowledge is now difficult for us, for we may travel only at night.
I don't understand. As a matter of fact, I understand nothing about you or your people. You are people. Humans?
We were once a proud race, too proud to bow to the wills of the pharaohs.
The pharaohs of Egypt?
Yes. We fled from there thousands of years ago, bringing with us only such wealth as we could carry in our pockets. But the pharaoh's legions pursued us across the desert, across jungles, across the rivers and swamps.
But thousands of years ago?
My people took to underground caves to escape the pharaoh's fury. We have remained here ever since. And living underground, we have disintegrated. We have become something less than human, living on roots and insects, seeing no light. Now only a few of us can speak, and each year the number grows less. Soon we will disappear, all of us. We are nothing, we have nothing.
But the pearls?
Meaningless. Even our attempt to use them for a little food, for which we were happy to pay, ended in disaster.
Disaster for the men who tried to enter your underground kingdom?
They met no disaster. Not even the one who almost escaped, the one whose hat you found. You see, our cave is but the hub of a vast network of underground tunnels. The men were taken back to their ship.
You didn't harm them?
Not seriously. But they shall long remember what they went through. They will not return for pearls.
And what of us? The two who came with me and me?
After we have relieved them of the pearls, of which they are not worthy, they will also be taken to their ship.
And what do you intend to do with me?
Your case is different.
Oh? The men are taking off my chains. Does that mean...
That you are free on one condition.
And what is that?
That you take the pearls. All that we have.
That hardly sounds like punishment.
They are not for your own use, but for ours. You are to buy us healthful foods, books, materials to teach us to live again.
Of course. I should be happy to.
Perhaps it is too late, but then maybe some of our people may be reborn. Oh, not the miserable creatures you've seen, but their children's children's children.
I see. I do see.
And instead of being hideous creatures who bring terror at night, we may grow to be real people who laugh by day.
In just a moment, a preview of our next exciting story of Tarzan. Off the southwest coast of Africa, there lies the tropical island of San LORENCA, so beautiful that travelers are apt to forget its dangerous shoals, its perilous reefs, the sea monsters that lurk beneath the apparently tranquil sea. Tarzan faces these dangers and others brought by man in our next story, Danger off San LORENCA.
Tarzan, a transcribed creation of the famous Edgar Rice Burroughs, is produced by Walter White, Jr., prepared for radio by Bud Lesser, with original music by Albert Glasser. This is a Commodore production. From the heart of the jungle comes a savage cry of victory. This is Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle. From the black core of dark Africa, land of enchantment, mystery, and violence, comes one of the most colorful figures of all time, transcribed from the immortal pen of Edgar Rice Burroughs. Tarzan, the bronzed white son of the jungle. And now, in the very words of Mr. Burroughs, the story of Trouble off San LORENCA.
Perhaps it is difficult for those who have never visited exotic ports like Casablanca, Algiers, Tripoli, and Tunis to picture Beccarata. For Beccarata is much like those other ports, except that it's a trifle dirtier, a bit more sinister, a little more completely steeped in the dark mystery of Africa. At one end of its narrow, winding principal street is the Café du Diable, the Café of the Devil. It presumably gets its name from the painted figures on its walls, but many claim it has been named for its owner, the small, goateed Monsieur André Devereaux.
André, look what just walked in.
Extremely pretty.
Maybe another entertainer looking for a job.
You're a fool. Did you ever see an entertainer who dressed demurely? She's a small-town girl who has perhaps come over here to serve as a missionary.
Shall I go over and see what she wants?
No. Just let her stand there being uncomfortable. By the time she works up enough courage to walk over here, it will be easier to say no to whatever request she makes.
Ah, look, she's leaving. Perhaps she's afraid of all the rough-looking devils. the ones painted on the walls.
Mademoiselle, miss.
Yes?
You are looking for someone. There is something I can do for you.
I think maybe I made a mistake. This couldn't be the place.
You're frightened. There's no need to be afraid of André Devereaux.
You are Mr. Devereaux? Then this is the right place.
Oui.
I'm Della Carter, Simon Carter's granddaughter. He wrote that you were his friend.
Yes, he's a friend of Simon Carter's, all right.
I can speak to the young lady without your help.
Of course, Andre, of course. Adieu, dear friend of Simon Carter.
What did he mean by that?
Oh, to be truthful, my dear Miss Carter, I'm just a trifle, shall we say, angry with your grandfather. For several weeks, I permitted him to occupy a room back of the cafe without charge.
Yes, he wrote that you were very good to him.
Then, when he left for the Congo, I financed his expedition. It's been 4 years now, and he's never repaid the money advanced. Nor did he ever send me my share of the gold he was so sure of finding.
But, Mr. Devereaux, something's happened to him. I know it.
Mais oui, many times things happen to white men who go into the jungle in quest of gold. Gold they never find.
But Grandfather did find gold. A fortune, I guess.
What?
About a year ago. It was after that something happened to him. I know he's in terrible trouble someplace.
Come into my office, my dear. I want you to tell me all about it. If your grandfather's in some kind of trouble, Andre Devereaux will help him.
He said you were his friend.
Mais oui, I am his friend. So he found gold, huh?
Grandfather was always the character in the family, wandering all over the face of the earth and having all sorts of strange experiences.
I see, Della.
Well, Dad and Mother passed away about 6 years ago. After that, Grandfather and I lived together in a tiny cottage.
Oh, lovely.
It was nice. But all we had to live on was my small salary as a lower-grade teacher. Grandfather wasn't content to let me support him, and I guess he still craved for adventure.
So he came to Africa to find a fortune in gold?
Yes. First I had his letter from here, the one in which he mentioned you. Then there was a long silence. And at last a letter came saying that he was on his way home. That all the wealth he had accumulated during the years was mine. That he was bringing it to me.
So he didn't intend to give me my share?
Oh, I'm sure he would have sent it to you. He was very honest.
Well, he didn't come home with the gold anyway, I assume.
No. I never saw nor heard from him after that. 6 months ago, I quit my job. I decided then to come to Africa and find him, or at least learn what had happened to him.
I can understand your feeling, my dear Della. Andre Devereaux will help you in your mission. You and I will find out what has happened to your grandfather. And who can tell, we may also recover the fortune he discovered in the Congo.
In just a moment, we shall find out what happens to Della Carter and Monsieur Andre Devereaux when they enter the jungle and meet Tarzan. In civilization, it is difficult to learn about matters that transpired 4 years ago. In the jungle, it is almost impossible. But Della Carter was determined to find out what had happened to her beloved grandfather. And Andre Devereaux had a driving will to get the wealth that Simon Carter had mentioned in his letter. And so the two led their safari deep into the Congo jungle where the old man had last been seen. Their trail led them eventually to the seacoast cabin of the Lord of the Jungle.
Could this be it?
Yes, this must be the cabin the native mentioned. Boss, we will stop here then.
I don't hear anyone inside.
It looks deserted, all right. But if this tip doesn't pay off, I don't know where we can go from here.
Grandfather's last letter was postmarked Cape Town. Perhaps if we headed in that direction...
It might have been carried thousands of miles before it reached the Cape Town post office. And our small safari could never get that far.
No, I suppose not. But where else can we head next?
We can head back to Bekurata. I've been a fool to invest further money in a lost cause. I've financed your grandfather's expedition, and now I've borne the expenses of this ridiculous safari.
But we must go on. Grandfather may be dying. Maybe he's been captured by cannibals or... Oh, please, Andre. Let's...
I'm going back to Bekurata. Oh, you're coming with me. You'll earn the money I've spent on this foolishness. Andre Devereaux does not make bad investments.
I won't go back with you. You slapped me.
And there will be more slaps unless you listen.
There will be no more slaps. Do not be afraid, young lady.
Oh, I thought thought you were some huge animal.
I'm sorry if I frightened you. I am Tarzan.
Ah, we have been looking for you. I am Andre Devereaux of Becurata, and this is De La Carta, an American girl.
Why did you slap her?
It was just a slight misunderstanding, that's all. A Latin temper inflamed by the jungle heat. Actually, we are genuinely fond of each other. Is that not right, ma chérie?
Yes, I guess so.
I overheard your slight misunderstanding. I was in a tree almost directly overhead. You see, I have grown unused to civilized people, and I plan to remain in hiding until you've gone away.
What made you decide to come down?
I have always reacted strongly to man's cruelties and woman's tears.
I don't usually cry. It's just that we've come so far, and every lead we followed has come to nothing, and...
From my hiding place in the trees, I heard that you searched for your grandfather.
Yes, and some distance from here, we met a native who told us about how you'd saved a man from a wild boar. From the native's description, we thought that the man you saved might have been my grandfather. His name is Simon Carter. Do you know him?
Yes, I know Simon Carter.
When did you see him last?
It was more than a year ago.
Where did he go when he left here?
Only the jungle can answer that.
Did he have gold with him? Did he mention a fortune?
I am a man of the jungle, Andre Devereaux. I do not try to disguise my actions or my feelings. I do not like you. And I do not like this cross-examination. Still, because of this girl, you are invited to come inside my cabin. I will tell you what I know of Simon Carter.
Then you don't actually know whether he'd found the gold before he arrived here.
I have told you all I know. He'd been in the jungle for several years before our paths crossed, and he had gone through many horrible ordeals.
Yes, go on.
He rested here for several weeks and then left.
Did he have any large sacks or boxes with him?
Only a humble carpet bag and a few crude mining tools.
The carpet bag? Was it heavy? Heavier than it would have been had it contained only clothing.
Yes, it was heavy, but I did not look inside. If it contained gold, that was Simon Carter's business, not mine. And that is the last question I shall answer you.
I only meant to...
I shall prepare food for you, the young lady, and your bearers, and then you must leave. And Miss Carter... Miss Carter!
Gone. She must have... I didn't hear her leave.
If she's wandered beyond the edge of the clearing, she... Numa, the lion, preparing for a feast!
Tarzan dashed from the cabin, crossed the narrow clearing in a few great leaps, and hurtled himself into the middle level of jungle growth, traveling in the direction from which Numa's roar and the cry of the girl had come. He moved with incredible speed, and although Della had wandered far from the cabin, Tarzan's overhead flight brought him quickly to the place where she stood with her back to a huge rock, facing an enormous, angry lion. And even as Tarzan looked down, the huge lion, tired of toying with its prey, crouched low. Its muscular haunches quivered, and it leaped. But Tarzan was already hurtling through space, his great knife flashing in the air as he dove at the lion. Man and beast were one for a moment, an indistinguishable mass. And then, as the lion shuddered convulsively, Tarzan got to his feet and placed one foot on the dying animal.
You saved my life, just as you did my grandfather's.
You were very foolish to leave the cabin.
I couldn't stand listening to Andre any longer. When we left Becurata, I thought he was being kind, that he wanted to come with me so that he could help in case grandfather was in some kind of trouble. But now...
Andre Devereaux is neither a safe nor a suitable companion for you on a long and dangerous safari.
I know. I think I'm more afraid of him than I was of that lion. But, well, I have to go on.
And I shall come with you. You're not afraid of me, are you?
Of course not. I think you'd inspire confidence and trust in anyone.
Thank you.
With you along, I'm sure we'll find my grandfather. They'd never call this a city back home.
Well, this is an African city, although Lagos doesn't compare with some of our great cities, of course.
This office we search for, is this it we are coming to?
Yes, if Simon Carter sailed from Lagos, and every report seems to indicate that he did, they'd know all about it here. The Zabin Navigation Company is the only one operating ocean-going ships out of this port.
It isn't much to look at, this navigation office.
Oh, is there something I can do for you?
You are Mr. Zabin?
Yes. What do you want?
We seek information, Mr. Zabin.
Ah, a savage dressed in a leopard skin.
Perhaps you'd like to know when the next of my ships is to sail into your jungle.
We're trying to find out something about a traveler who may have sailed on one of your vessels.
Oh?
As closely as we can determine, it was about 6 months ago.
They described him perfectly in the last native village we passed, and it was only a few miles from here.
Oh, what is the name of the man you want to find out about?
Simon Carter.
My grandfather. Do you have any record of his sailing?
Yes, I remember him. He arrived at the dock only a few moments before the Pride of Lagos sailed. Despite the heavy carpet bag he carried, he ran the entire length of the dock.
The carpet bag?
Did he sail on the Pride of Lagos?
Yes, and it carried 6 other passengers and quite a valuable cargo. Not valuable enough, however, to make salvage operations worthwhile.
Salvage operations?
The ship went down off the island of San Lorenca. All aboard were lost.
Still seems foolish coming out in this boat. Grandfather's dead. We know that now.
Yes, and he won't have any more use for the treasure he had in that carpet bag.
Bring the boat around a little. The reefs are dangerous here. I know these waters.
Tarzan, I really don't want you to dive down to try to recover the treasure. It isn't that important.
It is to me. If Tarzan doesn't get it, I'll hire a professional diver. I'll find that carpet bag and the wealthy tools.
You see, Della, if we abandon our search, your friend Andre here will continue without us. For the investment of a few mining tools, you'll get all of the treasure your grandfather intended you to have.
But deep-sea diving's dangerous. I've always heard that. I know you're strong.
Look! Right below us. The hull of a ship. I hope the anchor will keep us from drifting too far.
The water's so clear. I can almost make out the name on the prow.
I can see the name. It's the Pride of Lagos, all right.
I've never seen such clear water. The ship must be 100 feet down.
More than that, I think. 200 feet, perhaps.
You can never descend to that depth without a diving suit.
I can try.
No, Tarzan, it isn't worth risking.
Look at him go down, as though he were made of rock.
Sometimes Tarzan seems so gentle. With that knife held between his teeth, he seems a complete savage. Do you think he can reach the sunken ship?
I hope so. We'll save the expense of a diver. They get a lot of money.
I can hardly see him now.
The water's suddenly cloudy.
Something seems to be stirring up the mud on the bottom.
I can make Tarzan out now. He's about halfway down.
Look, Andre, look, an octopus!
Sacre bleu! It must be 25 feet across.
He's got Tarzan!
It is the end of the jungle men.
Oh, no!
In just a moment, we shall continue with our exciting story of Tarzan. Two of the octopus' thick, slimy tentacles were already wrapped around Tarzan's body, their suckers holding him in like a steel grip. The other undulating arms gradually moved closer. Within a few seconds, they too would encircle the jungle man, squeezing out his life. And the huge devilfish had still another weapon, the poison that would paralyze its victim. Now the water was suddenly cloudy with the poison, but Tarzan fought to overcome it. He struggled upward, gasping for breath. His knife arm struggled free, and one of the tentacles was severed. As they reached the surface, the knife descended again, and the water was red with blood. Now Tarzan was almost unconscious from the poison, but years of jungle training made him strike out with his knife again and again and again. The suckers relaxed now. The remaining tentacles began to lose their strength. Tarzan grasped the side of the boat and pulled himself onto the deck.
If he'd been killed, it would have been on my conscience all my life.
It was unfortunate his encountering the octopus. If it hadn't been for that, we might have had the treasure by this time.
I don't care now if we never get it.
If you would sign away any rights in your legacy, perhaps...
She's signing nothing.
All right. Then as soon as you have regained your breath...
He's not going down again. I won't let him.
Perhaps you're right, my dear. Suppose you remain here and take care of Tarzan. I will go ashore on the dinghy. Maybe I can find a diver. We can divide the expense equally from our respective shares of the treasure.
All right. But do you think you'll find a deep-sea diver on a tiny native island like San Lorenca?
I took the precaution of making inquiries on the mainland. I understand there is a diver there, one with whom I believe I can make a satisfactory arrangement. By your accent, I would judge that you are far from home.
I ain't asking you no questions. I don't want you to ask me none, see?
But certain things I must know. Your name, for one thing.
Just call me Tex.
Mais oui, that's enough of a name. And you are an experienced diver?
I was one of the top divers in the States until...